OBN, OBN,
Original black nerd.
OBN,
Original black nerd.
OBN,
Original black nerd. Everything discussed about dramas is that thorough.
OBN,
Original black nerd.
OBN.
Original black.
Whew. So now we go to issue 4, the fallout of the big reveal, and a little twist. So, as we saw in the last issue, it is now revealed that Jason Fisher, the new American, is a black guy. And of course, this is October 20th, 1962. Okay. I would have just turned 5. So, of course, we get the tropes of, the typical responses. Hunt Calloway says, "So, ladies and gentlemen, Hunt Calloway, you've seen the shocking newsreel footage. The new American, who in short order became one of our greatest beacons of hope, revealed to being a colored." So my man's narrating, and he says, "We hope our lives among hope. We live our lives among hope and fear. Hope for the best, fear the worst. Seldom are the extreme of each ever realized." Yeah, well, they are now. So my man Calloway goes, "The pundits have weighed in, but what does the man on the street think?" So they get the comments, man, on the streets. You got one guy, he's a little nervous. This new American seems like a good sort, but what if other colors have superpowers? So so then you have your typical redneck guy, the baseball cap on, going, "Ought to just kill the nigger now. Find him, kill him, so no other super niggas get any ideas of being uppity." So you get that trope, and then you get, black. I was looking at a black guy. I'm not sure on this, but he looks black. He says, "I'd rather not say, sir." Yeah, he's black. "Sir, don't have no opinion, so I'd rather not say." And so then, of course, then you have your, young white female liberal, "My girlfriends have started a petition at Vassar supporting the new American. My daddy knows somebody in Washington, and gosh, I'm going to ask him to make a phone call." And we see, Jace is looking up. So then we flip over, and Jace is, they trying to figure out what's going on here, They're saying, "Oh, what's going on? The world knows he's a Negro, blah, 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 blah." And so, so my man says, "We, according to the Russians, we're persecuting our Negroes and harboring violent spacemen." So they talk about the Wanderer, and then what they find out that he was self-administering the gene therapy, and it has a side effect. And they say, how did he get the serum? And they don't know. So questions on that. And they question, what about the Negro? And so my man, they got him locked down and sitting in the room, and they going back and forth and talking about, what do you mean you could handle Jason? And he says, "Relax, Wes. I meant this, that he's the least I worry. You got a whole bunch of super folks who just found out they were rubbing shoulders with a color. How do you think they talking now?" So now we get all the different groups talking. So of course, you got the Southern Defense Corps, and they throwing out slurs and attacking the typical Southern thing, and you have Amber Ways, saying, "I don't like that," and then you got the they're sitting around the table with the whole group, and they're kicking back, saying, "Man, you just a bigot." So it's going back and forth with that. So then it starts to get real funny, because he said, my man said, "I'm sure as hell not standing side by side with a darky." So it's the Southern Cross guy, and so Amber Waves kicked back, said you had no problem before you knew it was colored. And so the big guy, Muscle Shoals, who hangs out with Amber, says, I don't mind Annie that he's a colored. And so of course Mr. Lucky comes back. Well, of course not. You're just a southern porch monkey yourself. You kind don't prefer them to your own race. And so they go back and forth on stuff. And the government doesn't choice. And he said, maybe, what would you do? We had no say that we would. Maybe I would accept the color on the team, but it's an individual choice. They said, so my man, the detective goes, maybe they would have trusted you more if you weren't a pack of blind racists. So he leaves out on that note. And so they go back and forth. And then they go back and free Freya, and she's like, look, I don't, y'all, this mortal stuff is just fun for me, and so they go back and forth, and now the Southern guys go with states' rights type argument. The Kennedy boys think you can whistle and we just dance. We ain't doing that. So my man, coach, hits him with the beer in the face and then punches him out. And so, of course, my man Southern Cross is mad, and so the coach goes with, and now this is some true stuff. I could get with it, because he goes, because, Southern Cross says, you siding with the colored? And coach goes, I coached enough to know if you want to win, you better at least have one on your team. My man West say, that's very enlightened, coach. He's coming back to the CDC, sent my Mrs. Packet. I'm not going to lose the only thing I got left because of some misty-eyed plantation days. So they're going back and forth, and so now my man Pharaoh steps in. He's the by the book guy. And he says, there's no point in arguing. We have taken the oath to uphold the law. Segregation is illegal. If the Negro wishes to be a part of this group, who the hell said who in the hell voted Pharaoh? I can hear you, Delta. So he says, the Negro's in. And the law will be upheld. The Negro stays. And what was funny about that he had hit my man Southern Cross with some heat vision, and they go like, when did he develop that? So now we see he's starting to develop some extra powers. Okay, and then so they try to get Freya. Freya's like, nah, I ain't gonna dance with that. So Southern Cross, he talks about, here's a line, don't cross it, blah blah blah. And so now we kick back, and Jason then went down to talking to my man, the Wanderer, and he's talking about, I come talking simple sentences, because if he thinks too much, he gets shocked. And he says he telling me he wants to feel bad. He said, man, I killed my family. I'm getting what I deserve. So now my man Jason's feeling kind of bad. He says, when I ratted you out, I didn't think it would come to all of this, but I couldn't let you hurt the CDC. They're trying to do good. We're messed up. You were the only one on the team who was decent to me. My man came back and said, never would have known if I'd known you were colored. So now Jason is like, oh snap, I tried to be nice to this dude, and he just said, look, if I knew you was black, I would have been nice to your ass. So it moves on, and then we're down in the Southern Defense Corps, down in Atlanta. And they going back and forth. So you got Southern Cross, the fire guy. You got Mighty Delta, who's the second most powerful next to Pharaohs. You got Mr. Lucky, the fake Gambit guy, or no, he's more like a Black Cat or Domino, the people with the luck. And then you had Ole Miss, so they all hanging out. And he talking about, man, they don't know what to do, so they arguing back and forth, and man, he says, look, man, Southern Cross, he says, that's it. Let them Yanks know they can't shine on us. And Mr. Lucky said, hey, you thought I was going to be trouble. I could understand Cross having it for the colors, but he sure sounds like he wants to start a war. And so they kind of go back and say something's going to happen. So then what happens is that fortunately, and this is the funny how they put the little time things in there. So what happens is, the big nuclear standoff happens, with the Russians going to Cuba, don't cross the line, the backdoor negotiation, but did the whole movie about it. Yeah, so that happens. And so they for a moment, people had forgot about, we got a Negro superhero, because they weren't about the Russians going to have a nuclear war with America, which was a very real thing at that time. Okay, so then we got Jason talking to his brother. He said, man, Jason, you had me running scared. Saw you on TV just for a second, but I knew it was you. So Jason's on the phone, can't talk, and he said, man, I can't get involved. I'm trying to do some good things. And his brother, who's a activist, talks about, yeah, man, you can go down and register and vote, people to vote. You can, we're going to do it. I got a freedom ride. You can come on down there with us and see if them, rednecks jump us. And Jason was like, I'm not talking about freedom rides. I got some bigger things to do. And then click. They, of course, cut the phone off. And talking about you in protective custody, and my man comes back and says, who you protecting white America from, the super buck. And so my man gets in a conversation with Wes. So Wes, he hits him with, this isn't how I wanted things after you proving yourself. Then we could have revealed you're a Negro a few years. And so Jason cuts him off, says, a few years hiding behind a mask? Come on, man. It's been 200 years. And to most people, we're still nothing but, the N-word. And so, my brother says I ought to take my powers down south and find a few biggest and Wes comes back. So they're going back and forth, over it. Wes comes back, says, kill him for killing Negroes, and then give him more reason to kill more Negroes. And then Jason comes back and says, man, I love you liberal whites. Just give everybody a hug and the world will be fine. And my man Wes, he ain't backing down. He says, man, a world of retribution killing isn't one I want my son growing up in. There's still a chance for us to do better, to give people hope. And Jason cuts him off and says, hope? You can barely say the word. I told you when I met you that you were full of. And I find out you really are. I don't care about any consequences. There's going to be trouble, and I'm bringing it. So now we switch over to the detective, and he's hitting my man Chet up with, look, man, one of these is a fluke, a couple is a nutcases, but I've made 5 cycles in the last year wearing the H for hellbent. Self-inflicted. You think these days they just get a cat tattoo like most young miscreants. And he says, he thinks about they think he got followers, and we find out this guy's named Hellbent. So, he said, yeah, Hellbent having followers, maybe he does. Thanks to liberal media, killers get made into celebrities. All the more reason we should keep letting him take public lickings from the CDC. So this guy's a homicidal killer. Okay? And they described him as a homicidal genius with an insatiable bloodlust. And they got an arrangement with this guy. Now the government's cold-blooded. Now remember, they said this whole fake superhero thing, propaganda thing, has went back to Truman, which means it was back in the 40s. Okay, so we see him say, "Look, man, you dancing with the devil, and I ain't got no taste for it." So the detective bounces. So what they find out is that they find the body, and they said, look, the coroner got to make it look official. I've been doing this for years, but we know it's murder. So they're down in Alabama, and so you see him talking to the detective, and she's checking out she's checking out this corpse. All right, and so boom. So now we got this guy called Hellbent. They got him chained up in some crazy ways. I guess he's like the Hannibal Lecter of the time, man. So he's in Big Sandy Federal Penitentiary in Big Sandy, Kentucky. So what this guy does, he says, man, he goes back at him like, you're not really scared of anything. So they got all the guns pointed at him, He says, so Chet hits him up with, we need you to go and kill some of these Cuban delegation that's meeting at a hotel in Harlem, and you get to kill them, and then the CDC will come and get you and say in the country, and you know how that goes. And he was like, okay, cool. He says, you can do that. And he says, man, and so now Weston got fed up, and he's talking about, man, because my man talked about can he molest some little boys, can he do something, all that. He said, man, he says, kill them any way I want, and will there be women or little boys to molest? And my man goes, yes, and no. So yeah, you can kill people any way you want. Okay, kill some women, but don't molest any little boys. What kind of sick crap is this? So my man West goes, check. He said, I want to hear it. He says, you can't kill those diplomats. They didn't do anything. And then he gives them the whole, they help transmit missiles, whole kind of stuff. So Hellbent, they sent him on this mission. But what we find out is Hellbent then got his own mission, because Hellbent knows about Jason's identity. So they setting up ready to, ambush Hellbent because they want to kill him. And so then all of a sudden they find out that Hellbent then double teamed them, tricked them up, And so then they all, but what happens? So what happens is my man Hellbent is on the Freedom Riders bus, and he carves up everybody on the bus, and except he doesn't kill Jason's brother. He leaves him paralyzed. So as he gets off the bus with his little knife in hand, here comes the new detective Freya and Ferros, and they come to do some work and kill this guy. So the new detective fires on him. He dodges the bullet. Freya comes to attack. He takes the axe from her, kicks her, takes the axe. He starts going with the Lizzie Borden things. He says, Lizzie Borden took her axe, as he kicks Freya and takes the axe. Gave her mother 40 whacks. Then he whacks Ferros in the face with Freya's mystic Norse axe. And then when the new detective starts shooting at him with his genetically superior shooting, the axe just blocks all the bullets. And says, when she saw what she had done, and then he chops off the shooter's hand, she gave her father 41. And then you hear the narrator going, our greatest hopes, our worst fears. And then he walks over and says, well, you were right. This is different. And my man looks over, he says, gotta tell you, Freya, you look good down there. Heard you were a sex addict. How about you do some things with your pretty mouth? And she said, never. And he said, you don't got a choice. And chops off her head. And that's how it ends. You see Freya head chopped off, axe in the ground, butt up in the air. You see Pharaohs with his face bleeding, crying that he couldn't save Freya. You see the new detective with his hand cut off, and you see my man walking off talking about mercy be the reaper. And that's how this issue ends. And wow, hell-bent, a crazy homicidal maniac on a killing spree with a vengeance. And we'll see the next issue. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, comment, share, do all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Peace.